Chinese EVs are rolling into Canadian ports and reopening a debate about security. The first of 50,000 Chinese EVs have arrived at a reduced tariff rate. In exchange, China lowered its punishing levies on Canadian canola and other products.
10 cars. One country gets all of them. The other gets none. America's tariff wall on Chinese EVs sits at a flat 100%.
The U.S. will impose 100% tariffs on Chinese imports over and above the tariffs that he already has in place.
0 brands, 0 exceptions. Canada just slashed that number to about 6% and cracked the door open. That gap is the whole story. Today we're exploring 10 Chinese flagship EVs, a city car under $18,000, a sedan with 1,287 horsepower, an SUV that undercuts a BMW X5. Not everyone is confirmed for Canadian roads yet, but all of them are banned in America. Let's break down all 10. Number 10, the Neo Firefly. Let's start small, because this one's almost sneaky in how good it is. The Neo Firefly is a compact city EV from Neo's boutique sub-brand, and in China it starts around $17,400. 17,000 for a brand new car with a name on it that isn't a decade-old used Corolla. Here's the thing, this isn't a stripped-down Econobox either. It's got interactive LED lighting on the face that genuinely looks like it's got personality. Flush door handles, a design language that feels closer to a concept car than a commuter box. Under the hood, well, under the frunk, you're getting a 161 horsepower electric motor, 0 to 62 miles an hour, in about 7.9 seconds, and a 42 kilowatt-hour battery, good for around 260 miles of range on the Chinese testing cycle. Inside, you've got dual screens, soft-touch materials, and a cabin that punches so far above its price bracket, it's honestly a little embarrassing for everyone else in this segment. This is the car you'd buy for city driving, groceries, your dog, all of it, and you'd still feel like you got something premium. Now here's what stings. Neo has already said the Firefly brand is heading to markets across the Americas and Europe. It's landed in Thailand. It's landed in Singapore. It's confirmed for Costa Rica.
We have already had 62 power swapping stations in Europe.
And NIO is also expanding. I mean, Singapore is your first Southeast Asia market. You're going to go to Costa Rica.
It's even been confirmed for the UK, where it's expected to land somewhere around £25,000. Notice which country isn't on either of those lists? And NIO isn't slowing down on this thing either. They just launched a whole new design-focused Halo series for the Firefly, starting with a model called Habitat, inspired by a blue ghost firefly that glows in forests, complete with green metallic paint and matching interior stitching. It's a boutique car brand, treating a budget EV like a limited sneaker drop. And honestly, it's working. Would you trade your current daily driver for a car this cheap that actually looks this good? Let me know in the comments. But we're just getting started, because number 9 brings 1,287 horsepower to a car that costs less than a loaded pickup truck. Number 9, the BYD Yangwang U7. This is where things get genuinely unhinged. The Yangwang U7 is BYD's ultra-performance flagship sedan, and I want you to sit with this number for a second. 1,287 horsepower. From 4 independent motors, 1 per wheel. 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.9 seconds. Top speed of 270 kilometers an hour. In a 4-door sedan, the 2026 update brought a massive 150 kilowatt-hour battery good for over 1,000 kilometers of range on the Chinese cycle, and BYD's flash charging tech,
BYD's biggest advancement yet in EV fast charging, called megawatt charging,
that can theoretically push a 10 to 70% top-up in around 5 minutes. The suspension system, called D-SUZ, uses cameras and LiDAR to scan the road half a second ahead and adjust stiffness up to 1,000 times a second. It is, without exaggeration, predicting bumps before your tires even reach them. And the price? Under $90,000 in China. For a sedan that beats a Tesla Model S Plaid to 60 and undercuts a Lucid Air on price while offering more usable rear seat luxury than either one. Buyers can even option a 4-seat executive layout with reclining lounge chairs and chilled storage instead of a conventional bench, turning the back seat into something closer to a private jet cabin than a sedan. BYD also claims a drag coefficient of just 0.195 for this thing, which is genuinely one of the slipperiest numbers ever recorded on a production sedan. Slicker through the air than most hypercars, let alone anything wearing 4 doors. This is the kind of number that makes you question everything you thought you knew about what a $100,000 car is supposed to feel like. Is this the ultimate Model S plaid killer? Genuinely, yes or no, tell me in the comments. But hold on, because number 8 has a fridge that goes to -15 degrees Celsius, and I promise you, that detail alone is worth sticking around for. Number 8, the Zeekr X. The Zeekr X is Geely's compact luxury crossover, and it's built for people who think a Model Y is a little boring. It comes in 2 flavors, a rear-wheel drive version with a 250 kilowatt motor and a 61 kilowatt-hour battery, and an all-wheel drive flagship with 365 kilowatts, 573 newton-meters of torque, and a 66 kilowatt-hour battery, good for around 415 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. The design is sharp and angular, almost like folded paper catching the light, and the charging is legitimately impressive. The base RWD model can hit an 18-minute 10 to 80% charge, while the AWD flagship tops out at 150 kilowatts DC. But the cabin is where this thing gets weird, in the best way. You get a 13-speaker Yamaha sound system, massage seats on the AWD trim, and yes, a built-in center console fridge that can actually chill your drinks properly, not just keep them lukewarm like most car fridges do. Heated seats front and rear come standard now, along with an updated cabin that fixed most of the usability quirks from the earlier version. Even the base RWD version now runs a new golden battery chemistry that charges faster and holds up better against thermal stress over time, which is the kind of upgrade most brands would have saved for a flashy special edition instead of just quietly giving everyone. Pricing globally lands from around $49,000 for the base RWD trim, up to about $58,000 for the loaded AWD version, depending on the market.
Zeekr isn't telling us the exact price of this updated X, but it is willing to confirm that it will start from under $50,000 drive away for this rear-wheel drive.
And Zeekr has actually been cutting these prices year over year while adding more standard equipment, which is the opposite of what most brands do once a model's been on sale for a while. How badly do you want a fridge in your center console right now? Be honest. But stick around, because car number 7 doesn't have a rear window, and I mean that literally. Number 7, the Avatar 12. The Avatar 12 is a joint venture between Changan, Cattle, and Huawei, and it looks like it drove straight off a concept stage. This is a grand coupe with genuinely no rear windshield, none. Instead, it uses a high-definition streaming camera and a screen where your rear-view mirror would normally sit. It creates this weirdly private, lounge-like feeling in the back seat, plus a massive trunk opening because there's no glass structure back there to work around. Powertrain-wise, the updated version pairs a front motor with dual rear motors for a combined output pushing past 600 horsepower, hitting 0 to 62 in under 4 seconds. It rides on an 800-volt architecture with a 94.5 kilowatt-hour battery, giving you somewhere around 650 to 700 kilometers of range, depending on configuration. It runs Huawei's ADS 3.0 driving system, with 3 LiDAR units built in, giving it genuinely advanced hands-off capability on both highways and city streets. The exterior was designed by a former BMW designer, and it shows. This thing looks like nothing else on the road, closer to a concept sketch than a production sedan that anyone can actually buy today. Inside, the design leans minimalist but expensive. Nappa leather, a driver's cluster that spans practically the entire dash width, and personalized engravings available on the steering wheel and B-pillar for early buyers. Early limited-run units were capped at just 700 cars globally and came bundled with a complimentary designer tote bag, which tells you exactly what kind of buyer this thing was built for. Pricing runs from around $37,000 up to $55,000 for the top all-wheel drive trim. Could you drive a car with no rear window? Trust the cameras, or nah? Tell me honestly. But car number 6 right now holds the title of best-selling luxury sedan in all of China, and it's beating the Mercedes Maybach S-Class at its own game. Number 6. The Maestro S800. The Maestro S800 is a joint venture between Huawei and JAC, and this thing is currently outselling the BMW 7 Series and the Maybach S-Class combined in China's luxury sedan segment. Combined, in a single month, it delivered more units than both of those legacy nameplates put together. This is a full-size luxury sedan with dimensions that make it nearly 90 millimeters longer than the newest BMW 7 Series.
This is by far one of the most luxurious and expensive cars made by China, with a price range from 98,000 to 140,000 USD.
It runs a triple-motor all-wheel drive setup on the extended range hybrid version, doing 0 to 62 in about 4.7 seconds. And it uses a Huawei-designed 65 kilowatt-hour battery pack alongside a small gas generator that only sips fuel when the battery runs low. Inside is where this car earns its price tag. A 76-inch head-up display that projects across practically the entire windshield. A 43-speaker sound system. A ceiling lined with fiber optic points designed to mimic a starry night sky. Crystal-finished controls. This is a car built specifically to make a Rolls-Royce owner nervous. Pricing runs from around $102,000 up to nearly $147,000 for the top trim. And there's now a Grand Design Special Edition rumored to land near $294,000, specifically targeting Rolls-Royce ghost money. In the US, a Cadillac Celestiq starts around $300,000. This does most of what that car promises for a fraction of the price. It's sold exclusively through Huawei's own retail network alongside sibling brands like Ito and Luxeed, which means buying one feels less like visiting a car dealership and more like walking into a flagship tech store that happens to also sell sedans. Would you trade a Maybach for this if nobody at the valet stand could tell the difference? Let me know. But number 5 is the one that actually makes sense for a normal person, and it's got a robot on the dashboard that waves at you. Number 5. The NIO ES6. The NIO ES6 is the Goldilocks car on this entire list. Not too big, not too flashy, just genuinely well-built and smartly priced. In China, the 2026 model starts around $49,200 with the battery included.
So this is the 2026 NIO ES8. Starting price here in China 50,000, highest one will be 65,000 US dollar.
Or as low as $33,500 if you go with NIO's battery as a service subscription model instead of buying the pack outright. It's a dual-motor, all-wheel drive mid-size SUV with battery options at 75 or 100 kilowatt-hours, the larger pack giving you around 650 kilometers of range on the Chinese cycle. Charging is fast too. A 30 to 80% DC session takes around 36 minutes, and if you're near one of NIO's swap stations, you can trade your depleted battery for a fully charged one in about 3 minutes flat. No plugging in required at all. The 2026 refresh also added a standard zero-gravity front seat, which sounds like a gimmick until you're actually sitting in it on a long highway stretch. But the real personality of this car lives on the dashboard, where you'll find Nomi, a small AI robot head that physically turns to face you when you talk to it, nods along to music, and can control your windows, suspension, and navigation through natural conversation. The front passenger seat, nicknamed the Queen's co-pilot seat, reclines almost completely flat with a leg rest, basically turning long road trips into a first-class flight for whoever isn't driving. And this isn't some niche seller either. The ES6 and its coupe sibling have combined for nearly half of every premium electric SUV sold, above 300,000 yuan in China, since 2024. 1 in every 2 buyers in that entire price bracket is choosing this car specifically. Would you pick this over a Tesla Model Y? Genuinely curious. But number 4 has a windshield so massive it doesn't actually stop being a windshield until it's also your roof. Number 4. The XPeng G6. The XPeng G6 is proof that a fun, tech-loaded SUV doesn't need a scary price tag. Named after XPeng's own founder, He Xiaopeng, this thing has quietly become the brand's flagship fighter in the mid-size SUV segment, going head-to-head with the Tesla Model Y in market after market. Built on an 800-volt platform, it can charge from 10 to 80% in as little as 12 minutes in its fastest configuration. That is gas station speed, not sit-around-and-wait speed. The 2026 update alone brought over 20,000 individual engineering changes to the suspension, steering, and motors. A wild number for what looks like a mid-cycle refresh on paper. The standout feature is the panoramic glass roof that runs all the way from the windshield over the top of the cabin, filling the interior with light and making every drive feel slightly cinematic, rain or shine. Depending on trim, you're looking at somewhere between 255 and 480 horsepower, with the all-wheel drive performance variant hitting 0 to 62 in around 4.1 seconds. Genuinely quick for a family SUV, and quicker than plenty of hot hatches people take seriously. Long-range versions push past 350 miles on a single charge, and the new 5C battery chemistry on top trims is tuned to hold that ultra-fast charging speed even after hundreds of cycles, rather than degrading the way older fast-charging batteries tend to. Inside, a 15.6-inch central touchscreen runs a colorful, customizable interface, paired with an 18-speaker sound system and automated parking that's precise enough to slot into a tight spot with inches to spare while you watch from outside using the key fob camera feed. The whole cabin is built on a flat floor thanks to that 800-volt architecture, which frees up noticeably more legroom than you'd expect from the car's compact footprint on the outside. The driving assistance suite, called X-Pilot, runs on a dedicated Orin X chip and handles adaptive cruise, lane centering, automated lane changes, and a genuinely capable automated parking mode, all standard across the range, rather than locked behind a subscription. Pricing globally starts around $35,000 for the base configuration and climbs towards $67,000 for the loaded all-wheel drive performance trim, depending on your market. This is also a genuinely global car at this point. It's already on sale across the UK and France, with dealerships open in cities like Paris, Lyon, and Nice, and a fast-charging partnership with Shell Recharge Solutions, adding thousands of preferential rate charging points specifically for G6 owners. Add in compatibility with the CCS2 standard, and G6 drivers in Europe get access to more than 400,000 public charging points without needing a separate card or app for each network. That kind of infrastructure partnership is something most Chinese brands still haven't managed to pull off outside their home market, and it's part of why the G6 keeps getting cross-shopped seriously against the Model Y, instead of being written off as a curiosity. It isn't perfect. There's no frunk up front, which costs it some everyday storage flexibility, and steering feel on rougher back roads still lags slightly behind the class leaders. But for buyers scanning for a genuine Tesla alternative with this much tech under $50,000, the G6 makes an extremely persuasive case. Why are we still paying double for crossovers with half this tech in North America? It genuinely doesn't add up. But car number 3 has a suspension system so advanced it can keep a stack of champagne glasses upright over a speed bump. Number 3. The NIO ET9. The NIO ET9 is NIO's answer to the Mercedes S-Class and the Porsche Panamera, and it is an absolute technological flex from bumper to bumper. This is a 4-seat executive flagship sedan starting around $109,000, with dual motors producing 697 horsepower and 700 Newton-meters of torque.
The front and rear motor deliver a combined 700 horsepower and 700 Newton-meters of torque.
Riding on a 100 kilowatt-hour battery, good for roughly 650 kilometers of range. NIO's own founder has said publicly that this car exists specifically to prove the brand can compete at the absolute top of the luxury sedan world. not just in the mainstream SUV space it built its reputation on. The headline feature is called Skyride, the world's first fully integrated hydraulic active suspension system, capable of independently pushing or pulling each wheel in about 1 millisecond. That's fast enough to physically counteract a pothole before the wheel even finishes dropping into it. It also runs on a 900-volt architecture and uses steer-by-wire technology, meaning there's no mechanical connection between your steering wheel and the front wheels at all, just electronic signals, like a very expensive video game controller for a 5,000-pound sedan. NIO even built its own autonomous driving chip specifically for this car, called the Shenji NX9031, rather than licensing one from an outside supplier the way most automakers still do. In the back seat, you get what NIO calls first-class seating, an ultra-wide cushion, a 135-degree recline, and a 16-point hot stone massage function that makes actual first-class airline seats look a little underwhelming by comparison. This car exists purely to prove NIO can go toe-to-toe with 100 years of German luxury engineering, and by most accounts, it's doing exactly that. When the limited first edition launched, all 999 units sold out within 12 hours, before most people outside China had even seen one drive past in person. Would you rather be driven in this or a Maybach? Tell me honestly. But number 2 is nicknamed the Chinese Rolls-Royce for a reason, and once you see it, you'll understand why. Number 2, the Hongqi EHS9. Hongqi isn't a new brand chasing hype. It's China's historic state car maker, the brand that's been building vehicles for government officials for decades. And the EHS9
Hongqi has a proud 67-year history. In recent years, we have entered a brand new stage to rapid growth.
Is its flagship full-size luxury SUV wearing that heritage proudly. This thing is massive, with a waterfall-style chrome grille up front that genuinely makes people stop and stare when it rolls past. Under the skin, dual motors combine for around 550 horsepower and 750 Newton-meters of torque, getting this 2.7-ton SUV from 0 to 60 in around 4.7 seconds. Properly quick for something this size. Battery options range up to 120 kilowatt-hours, pushing range past 690 kilometers on the Chinese testing cycle, and the cabin can be configured in 4, 6, or 7-seat layouts, depending on what you need it for. Charging from a suitable DC station takes right around an hour for a full top-up, which is on the slower side, but almost nobody cross-shopping this car against a Bentayga or a Cullinan is worried about charging speed in the first place. Inside, you're looking at real wood trim, screens spanning the width of the dashboard, and captain's chairs in the second row that are heated, ventilated, and massaging all at once. Pricing lands somewhere between $80,000 and $97,000 depending on configuration and market, which puts it well under 6 figures for a vehicle competing directly with SUVs that routinely cost twice as much. What makes this one different from every other name on this list is the history behind the badge. Hongqi has been building the official state cars for Chinese leadership since the 1950s, and that heritage is baked into everything from the waterfall grille to the red flag emblem lit up on the hood. Would you drive this and let people assume you're someone important? No judgment either way, but number 1 combines over 1,300 horsepower with a genuinely absurd amount of luxury tech, and it might be the single most impressive vehicle on this entire list. Number 1. The Zeekr 9X. This is it, the final boss. The Zeekr 9X is Geely's full-size flagship SUV, and it might be the most quietly insane vehicle on this entire countdown.
Zeekr 9X approaches safety like a mission rather than a feature list. This is a performance-focused electric family car.
The top tri-motor trim produces 1,030 kilowatts, that's 1,381 horsepower, and launches this 5.2-meter, 2.8-ton SUV from 0 to 62 miles an hour in just 3.1 seconds. That is supercar-adjacent acceleration in a 6-seat family hauler bigger than a Mercedes GLS. It's built on a 900-volt platform with a plug-in hybrid system that delivers a combined range up to 1,250 kilometers and it can go from 20 to 80% charge in around 8.5 minutes. The suspension is dual-chamber air suspension, with adjustable ground clearance ranging from 178 to 288 millimeters, letting it lower itself for highway cruising or lift for rougher terrain entirely on demand. Zeekr built this thing on a completely new 900-volt platform, specifically to headline this launch, rather than adapting an existing architecture, which tells you how seriously the brand is taking this segment. The driver assistance suite on top trims uses 5 LiDAR units and over 1,400 TOPS of onboard compute power across dual processors, numbers that put most Western luxury SUVs to shame in this department. Inside, you get cloud lounge seating across 3 rows, a 17-inch OLED display, and a 3,800-watt NIM audio system that turns the cabin into a proper concert hall on wheels. And the price for all of this? Depending on trim and market, somewhere between $64,000 and $122,000, still frequently cheaper than a base BMW X5 in its home market, for a vehicle that's longer, wider, and dramatically more powerful. This got over 40,000 orders in its first hour on sale in China, and by the following spring, cumulative deliveries had already crossed 50,000 units. 40,000 orders in 60 minutes. That is not a niche flex. That is a genuine market phenomenon happening in real time. 10 cars, a $17,000 city runabout on one end, a 1,381 horsepower SUV on the other, and 8 wild machines in between. Every single one is fully banned from American roads, while Canada is already cracking the door open, brand by brand. Some of these might take another year or two to actually land on Canadian driveways, but the tech, the pricing, and the ambition are already real. Right now, just on the other side of a border, most of us didn't get a vote on. Which one would you actually drive? Drop your pick in the comments. Smash the like button if any of these shocked you, and subscribe for the next list.